I probably won't be able to say any more than what's already been said. You know, as I heard your story, one of the things that stood out to me was there's no Iran nuclear deal that's worth this. There's no international benefit that's worth watching anything like this happen. There's no benefit to be gained anywhere that we can look at that is worth America losing its moral authority to say never again. You know, I went with Muaz here, who's at the Syrian Emergency Task Force. By the way, if you guys have never talked or know who the Syrian Emergency Task Force is, I would really encourage you to do so. These are young folks that are dedicated to getting this message out against huge odds. You know, I went with them to the border of Syria. It's probably about 8 months ago now, and it was actually, I think, the day after we really began bombing ISIS targets in Syria. And you know, I met with some of these leaders, and I'm not sure where they're at today. I'm sure many of them are no longer with us. And I saw like a dichotomy of things in this. Number one, I saw people that looked to the United States and said, you have 330 million people in your country. You have an $18 trillion economy. You have moral authority that you've spent hundreds of years developing. Not always make everything perfect, but you understand what it means to take care of people and universal human rights and dignity. You are the only nation. Of all these nations in the world, you are the only nation that can step in and stop this from happening. And so I saw a level of hopefulness. And you know, as an American, I'm actually still a military pilot. I've never been more proud of being an American than when I put on my uniform. And at that point, I was both ashamed and proud when I was meeting with these folks to talk to them, because I was proud of the fact that they're not looking to the Russians or to the Chinese, but they're looking to the United States of America to solve this problem. But I was ashamed. I was ashamed because I talked to one gentleman who had just lost his daughter about a week before. And it was because of who he was. She was targeted. And you know what? Instead of saying, this isn't worth it, and going home and saying, I'll do whatever I have to do to protect my family, he went the next step and said, in righteous anger, you killed my daughter, and I will destroy you. You look at the Syrian people who say, I want nothing more than freedom. I want nothing more than to survive. And I think sometimes we oversimplify that. You know, when I look at these pictures, you know, it's very tragic what you see, but I want you to look at every one of those people in that picture and realize that's somebody's brother, somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody with a life of aspirations and dreams and hopes, no different than people in the United States. Some of them may be a little more tan or speak a different language, but they're exactly the same people that we have in America, folks that want their children to grow up in a land where they have freedom to be a police officer, or a freedom to be a teacher, or freedom to be a business person, or freedom to travel the world and see these great countries in the world for themselves. And those lives, 230,000, have been cut short by an evil, brutal dictator. Let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen. It is not a dichotomy between choosing ISIS or choosing Assad. I hear way too many people oversimplify that. Assad will never be in control of Syria at large again. His days are numbered. The question is, how long are his days, and how many more people will die to number them? The choice is, if we want to destroy ISIS, we must destroy the incubator of ISIS, who is Bashar al-Assad. It is high time that the American people and the American leaders have an open and honest conversation with the American people. This is not a simple choice. This is not an easy process. But God forbid, and God have mercy on us, if in 10 years we look back on this tragedy and say that we did nothing. Bill Clinton said his greatest regret in all his time in office was inaction in Rwanda. I fear that we'll all look back and say the same about Syria. God bless you.